Okay, our next speaker. We're going to go over a case study of the 1933 Griffith Park fire where we lost a number of brothers. And that is going to be with Assistant Fire Chief Guy Tomlinson from the Los Angeles Fire Department, sometimes referred to as the Los Angeles City Fire Department. 35 years as he's now an assistant chief in special ops. He was the IC on the La Tuna fire. He was ops on the Saddle Ridge, Getty, and Skirball fire. He was in the burnover of Engine 10, Strike Team 1001 in the 1996 Calabasas entrapment. And he wore a building in 1995 and a building collects. Guy Tomlinson.
Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me now. Guy Tomlinson, work for LA City Fire, as you heard. Pretty hard to go behind some amazing stories like that. But I am a little bit of a magnet. Safety officers don't even like to be around me. But anyways, hey, before we start today, I'd like to do a little something, and you guys are going to play along. I'm going to play some music, and you guys shout out when you know the theme on it, all right? Good one. All right, nailed it. Let's go. Got a couple more here since you guys are doing so good. This one's super tough. All right, we got two more. This one might be a little bit tougher for some of you younger folk. I don't know. I'm gonna try to make it reasonable for you. I actually had like 7 of these we're gonna do, but we're not gonna do that to you. Let's see. We could do Titanic. Kidding. The piano. Oh, here we go. How about this one? All right, and then one last one. Let's see, where are we at here? Oh, here we go. This is, if you guys don't get this one immediately, I'm walking out the door. All right. You guys all pass, you get to stay. But the reason I bring it up is every one of those songs remind you of a movie, right? They remind you of a character, a scene in the movie, and it can take you exactly where it was at. Well, I'm here to tell you today about a staff ride. And I'm going to start off with, what is a staff ride? Just as Chief was talking about, the staff ride is 3 components. An icebreaker. We just did an icebreaker. The other component is actually going out and doing the staff ride. And then the last component of it is the integration, the dinner afterwards. And that's kind of how the theme is going. And so on this Griffith Park staff ride, many staff rides are a multiple day event. The unique thing with Griffith Park is we've designed it, when I say we, term used very loosely, the people who designed it, I'm just a CGL on it, they made it so that it could be a half day or a full day event for you. So anybody who wants to come to it, 20 people to 100 people, we can do the Griffith Park staff ride for you, and you only need to commit to 1 day. The morning icebreaker, and then you do the hike, and then you go to all the stands, and then we have the integration afterwards. And we have some cool views for you to see all those things. But just like the movies, imagine a movie without any music to it. Pretty boring, right? That's the beauty of the staff ride, is every stand requires you to talk. Everybody's learning from each other. Everybody's eliciting something. And the unique thing with this staff ride and all staff rides is, as soon as you get into a situation, it's to help you immediately recognize, I've been over this before. Because the staff ride, just as you see in the Latin term up there, is about learning from the past, applying it to the present, and then using it in the present, and then applying it to the future. And it's in honor of those who have gone before us. And that's why we did the Griffith Park staff ride, so that you can instantly recognize something and it'll click to you because you've seen that before. Whether it's at Gettysburg or whether it's at Griffith Park or it's one of the other staff rides around Esperanza, something will resonate with you so that when you're in the middle of a bad situation, you have something to fall back on when you don't have a slide in that carousel from previously being there. And that's what we're going to go over today. So the fire at Griffith Park. The fire at Griffith Park, 1933. Things were a little bit different then. And why are we looking at 1933? Because 29 confirmed fatalities were there. 29. But there was a lot of similarities or parallels to today with Griffith Park. And some of them are going to be very unique, but yet very applicable. And some of them are just going to stand out and you're going to go, wow, we're there today. Play the video, please. Look at the saying at the bottom, Americans learn only from catastrophes and not from experience. Theodore Roosevelt. Okay, so the ground is still there, and now there's some memorials there, and there's also a lot of learning that can happen there. Griffith Park was pretty unique. So let's travel back to 1933, the crash of Wall Street. Everybody's running to the banks, trying to get whatever they can. Nobody can get any supplies. $100 can get you something. Government's trying to help out. The president creates programs to get people back to work. Everybody's getting their free food if they're truly unemployed. And then people started working the system a little bit. You didn't necessarily have to be unemployed. You just had to be somebody that got the worker card that you could go to work that day and then give it to your brother, and then you could go grab another card because it was hard to track. Sound anything similar to some of the stuff that's been happening the past several years on the double grabs? And then some of the programs they created were the capital improvements of infrastructure. That's the Griffith Park Observatory. They started to rebuild Griffith Park. That's how the government was putting people back to work, by making the park better. And that's why there were so many people in the park that day. Cost of living, back to 1933. Eggs, 12 cents a dozen. That's pretty cool. Prime ribs, 17 cents a pound. That's amazing. Chicken, bird flu, I don't know, they gave away. Clothing, if you have kids, $95 for a pair of knickers, or 95 cents for a pair of knickers, I'll take it. Look at that for a Chevy, $445. Pontiac with a straight 8, $585, yeah. Gasoline, 18 cents a gallon. Houses, top end, $6,700. That's a mortgage for a lot of people nowadays. The lower end, $4,500. That is a mortgage for a lot of people nowadays. That's crazy. But anyways, so that's the time and the era that they were in. But a lot of that was unattainable on the left-hand side of the screen. If you didn't have a job and you didn't have the money, it was just different because everything had crashed. So everybody was looking for work. They were looking for a way to go. So the parallels that are identified in the Griffith Park staff ride. The fire occurred on the south aspect. Does that stand out to most of us in the room? South aspects, right? Fire season, October the 3rd, curing all summer long, going into the fall season. Everything's lining up. Everything's the red flags to us. Communications. Well, there were no radios back then. It was a holler and it was a horn, just like the bugles on the captain's ornaments and the chief ornaments now, right? That was the communications. It was a busy division. There was tons of cars in there because of everybody working. But one of the key components to when that fire had started was one of the vehicles. One of the vehicles driven with a city seal on it by a plumber that was hollering out, "We need to stop that. We need to stop that." So the untrained person or the people that were just hired in, like a lot of the crews and privates that we're seeing nowadays, that they're grabbing people on the fly that may not know. They see an official vehicle, they may assume, oh, or you get some new firefighters that have never really been in that area. They may assume because now there's an official vehicle saying something, we need to act on that. I will tell you, even in the Palisades, with municipal fire departments, paid fire departments, we had a lot of very brand new people that just graduated out of the drill tower that thought they were getting good information or orders from credible people because of a car they were in or they were wearing a uniform. But that didn't mean that it was right information. Some of them, one of them even got separated from his crew, and then we were able to get him back. We were able to find him. But he got bad intel because he wasn't used to it yet. He wasn't there. Griffith Park was filled with that because it was a bunch of day workers just trying to get a job and get a buck. All they were trying to do was make a living. But they wanted to make a difference, which leads us to the human factors. They need to make a difference. They need to make the money. But there's a fire there, and we need to get ahead of the fire. So those human factors weighed in heavy for them because if they didn't do the work or if they abandoned their post, that meant that they weren't going to work the next day. Their ticket wouldn't get drawn. So they had to take action. But while they were taking the action, they didn't realize what was going to happen to them. Wasn't clearly communicated. The streets were so clogged, the fire department couldn't get there. Sounded anything like some of Palisades and Eaton. Couldn't get to all the locations because of all the traffic that was blocking the intersections in the streets. But then they were also thrown into action by having to carry out at least 29. Some reports are up to 61 because there wasn't good control measures on everybody. People that had left that were burned. There was 2 that were transported, severely burned, that died. So there was 27 on the hill that day that died. 2 died in the hospital, and those were the confirmed. Chicago Tribune got the report that there was 61. So somewhere between fact and fiction, there's a number. But the true number that we know is 29, but it could be more, just because the records aren't there and the accountability. Which takes us to the time of day on the blow-up. The fire started at 2 in the afternoon. The blow-up occurred at 1500 hours. That's a red flag to everybody in the room. South aspect, fire season, bad communications. Uh-oh, that's a red flag. Very busy division, not a lot of coordination. That's a red flag. Human factors are starting to weigh in, but now we go back to the constant of the south aspect, fire season, time of day. Transitional winds. You get the blow up and it takes off, and then we have the fatalities. 1 hour from initial start to the blow up. Now, here's a picture of the blow up. All fires start small, all blow ups are not large. This blow up that wiped out 29 members, confirmed members, was 47 acres. The entire fire was 47 acres. And we had a 29-person fatality fire. Everybody out there trying to do good work, but not properly trained or not properly outfitted. If you look at the picture, the PPEs are different, but the actions are the same. People going to work. The last stand that we go to is the memorial stand. This is the site where all the victims were brought up. The 29 victims were brought up. 27 did die on the hill that day. This is what it looks like today. So you can tell the topography is the same. The ridge is there, the brush is there, but there is a slight difference. There's trees planted in honor of every one of those members. There is a plaque there. And in that group talking, on this particular day, we had Amanda Marsh there from Granite Mountain, and she helped lead that final discussion at the memorial stand. It was pretty powerful. The other powerful thing with this staff ride from that stand is the view. Loop fire can be seen from there. El Carrizo hotshot fatalities. You can also see Glen Allen, where LA County fatalities occurred in 1993, 2 members. There's also structure fire fatalities that you can see every one of those locations. You can also see the La Tuna fire, where there was also a fatality back in the 50s. So it's a site where you can see the Angeles and how dangerous the Angeles is and all its connecting mountains to how many fatalities have been through there. And this is a piece of the Santa Monica's, obviously, but you can see all the fatality sites that have occurred in the local LA area. It's a pretty daunting site when you really want to think about it. And there's a lot of discussion that could happen there. In 2006, we had a fire in Griffith Park, wiped out 800 plus acres in that park. Pretty significant. Thankfully, no significant injuries and no fatalities. But there was a common thread. Communications were horrible. So it was a red flag again. So every fire we go to, whether there's a fatality or a significant accident or an issue, it always comes down to the same thing that we talk about over and over and over again. And that's why we do the staff rides, is just so that we can constantly learn from them. So with this particular staff ride, it's preparing for the future by honoring the past. There are the traditional stands, 6 stands that we have in there that you can go to with all the decision-making components. Because every decision factored into the next decision. It'd be no different than all of a sudden the people coming up the hill today couldn't get here, and those key people were the foodies, the people making the lunch. That would definitely impact the rest of this program if you knew lunch wasn't going to be at 12. You're going to have to wait till 5, right? But if you didn't know it, it might augur your it might change your decision making on what you're going to do, and then change your attitude and how you're thinking. Well, it's the same thing on the fire ground. Every decision impacts the next decision, and that's why the teamwork and the relationships really matter, so that we can count on each other on making those right decisions. And then when we have to call the audible or do something that's not normal, that we clearly communicate it. And those relationships and the communications matter in all of that to make it more successful. So developing the staff ride, really a shout out to Omna International, Chief Shane Open, U.S. Forest Service, Lieutenant Colonel Pete Whitenick, and then they really guided the members from the LAFD on creating this, and others on creating this staff ride. That again is tailorable from 20 people to 100 people. We do have plenty of CGLs, but Justin Horwadell is our CICCS coordinator. He can set you up with the staff ride. You just tell us when you need it and for how many people. And then also Jose Rodriguez. Jose Rodriguez is an apparatus operator. He's a truckie. He drives the aerial ladder truck, and he's all in on the brush. He used to be a brush guy, and he's just all in on everything. He's a phenomenal resource for you. I created the PowerPoint, and I said, hey, Jose, you mind helping me out? And he goes, that was cute. Let me fix it for you. The guy's pretty talented. And so anyways, and he's the same way when you go out there as one of the CGLs. So get in touch with the apparatus operator, Jose Rodriguez. He's a great cadre representative. And then any one of the CGLs. It's from firefighters. I think I'm the only chief. So if you really want the good intel, there's firefighters all the way up to captains in there for all those guys if you're more comfortable with them. But they put a lot of hard work into it. That picture is the final stand where you're at the top of Griffith Park looking over the entire LA basin into downtown LA, and you can also see the first interstate from there. Another significant fire with a lot of lessons learned. Wasn't a firefighter fatality, but it was an engineer fatality, building engineer fatality that died in an elevator. Lesson learned for the structure guys in the world, or the structure folks in the audience. The reason why we don't take elevators unless there's building code changes. Again, another staff ride for another day, but we haven't built that one yet. Anyways, that's Griffith Park. Didn't get real heavy into it. We want to introduce it to you. We were allotted 15 minutes. I think I'm pretty close to that 15-minute mark. So other than that, unless there's any questions on Griffith Park, that's the end, and that's all I got for you. Thank you.